All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Matt here from Chill TCG. So this past weekend was the GGtoor Chill TCG Cup #1. Definitely one of the biggest events in recent history, and definitely our biggest event here over at Chill TCG. It was a full regional style event over the course of Saturday and Sunday this past weekend. It had 383 participants, which was absolutely phenomenal, and it had $500 cash prizing in the prize pool, as well as some Vivid Voltage packs. Today we're going to be looking at the top 8 deck lists from the tournament. It's we had a little bit it's a little bit different, right, with the regional style event. We had 46 players make it into day 2. That would be far too many people to cover, and we had, of course, 8 people make it into top cut. So those will be the decks that we're going to be covering today. If you made top 16, I apologize. We're just not going to be covering your deck list in this video specifically, but for those who are interested, we can take a look. So these are, well, let's look. So if we go to day 2, okay. So these are all the players who made it into day 2. Big congratulations to everybody. We had a wide variety of decks, actually, that made it into day 2, but when we start to look at the top 8 cut, it's going to be a little bit different. But if you're on this list, big congrats for making it into, making it into day 2. If we look at just sort of everybody in general, so like this is the combined rankings at the end of the entire tournament, day 2 and top 8. Big congrats to everybody who made like top 32. They did get prizing. Big variety of decks once we get after top 16. Our top 16 decks were very consistent in terms of these meta decks here. Not a lot of Eternatus, not a lot of Centiskorch at all. No Centiskorch ended up making top 16. Yeah, so these are all the people that made, day 2 right here. These are all sort of the the upper echelon of people. So big congrats to you guys if you made day 2, made top 32, top 16, whatever it might be. But today we're just going to be looking at everybody who made top cut, which is our top 8 players. All right, so let's start it off with Vitor Lugon. Vitor Lugon from Brazil. He went 10-3-2 playing ADP. So let's take a look at his matches. There's quite a few matches here because it was a 2-day event. And day 1, he went, what is this? 6-1-2, it looks like. Very cool. So we beat Blounds, beat that Whimsicott deck from Vivid Voltage, beat Pikarom, beat ADP, lost to Jessica here playing Mew 3 Welder, beat another ADP, beat Blounds, ended up losing, he ended up IDing against Colossal and Eternatus. Going into day 2, had a really great run, beat Shanma playing Luke Metal, lost to Vena here playing ADP, who did really well in the tournament. Beat a Luke Metal, lost a game beat Game Shovenway playing Mew 3 Welder, and then beat Anti here playing Pikarom. First round of top cut, got the loss against Gabriel Smart playing Pikarom, but yeah, definitely had a really great run, man. Vitor Lugon, of course, one of the best, one of the more accomplished online players here since sort of all these online circuits have been opening up. Very talented player, notorious, I think, for playing ADP. So let's take a look at his list. All right, yes, so I remember this list specifically. This is a very cool list because it's ADP, right? So how crazy can it be? But he is running 4 of those amazing rare Jirachis, which is something that we just haven't really seen a whole lot. Of course, this is a really new card, but it still doesn't really seem to be that popular of a card to be thrown in at ADP. But 4 of them here, along with 4 Zacian, 2 ADP, 2 Dedenne, Crobat, Eldegoss, and Mawile. So a pretty standard Pokemon lineup, disregarding those Jirachis. But I wonder if Jirachi was pretty clutch for him. I know that, of course, Jirachi's really good for looking at those top couple cards of your deck, and picking one could be really useful. If you get a couple of those on your bench, you can switch them back in and look at potentially the top 3 cards of your deck. And could be really good potentially for finding those energies that you need, the energy switches, whatever you might need to get that turn 1 or turn 2 Altered Creation GX on the ADP. So Jirachi seems to be a really cool inclusion into this deck. I like it a lot. And we all saw how the tournament fared out for him, so he definitely did very well with this list. So definitely really cool. He's got the A2 lineup, Metal Energy, Water Energy, 4 Research, 4 Boss, and 1 Marnie. So again, a kind of pretty standard supporter lineup for ADP there. And all the items seem to make total sense. He's got 4 Energy Switch, 4 Saucer, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Switch, Cherish Balls, 3 Spinners. He does have that Tool Scrapper, which is definitely a really good inclusion in this deck. Great catcher. Of course, without any Pokemon catchers or anything like that, it's good to have a great catcher. It's sort of a guaranteed, gust onto those Dedennes if you can't find the boss or if you have to research out this turn because you don't have boss in hand or anything like that. It can be just a really good inclusion. Dedenne is still super popular, right? So things with like Oricorio as well. So Great Catcher's still a really good card. We see 2 Air Balloons, but no Big Charm. So, that's up to you whether you prefer to run Big Charm in this deck or not. Vitor had a really good run. I'm a big fan of Vitor Lugon. He's played in a lot of our events, has done really well all over the place. So he's a really great player and had a really good run in this tournament. So big shout out to Vitor Lugon getting that, what was it, the number 8 spot in the tournament? Awesome. Okay, so moving on. At number 7, we have Adam Calamet from Canada. Got the number 2 nod there with, I guess, just a higher resistance over Vitor. He went 10-3-2 again, and he was playing Lightning Mewtwo, so the next 2 players will be Lightning Mewtwo players. Let's take a look at his run here. So went on a 5-game win streak here right at the beginning of the tournament, being Pikarom, Blounds, Dragapult, Luke Metal, and ADP. Lost to Pikarom, beat that the Frostmoth Mewtwo variant. ID'd against Kaiokaten there, playing Eternatus. Kaiokaten was number 16th in the tournament. And then ended up beating Mew3 Welder there for his last game of day 1. So in 9 games, he actually only lost once, which is definitely really impressive. Going into day 2, so he lost that first game against Gabriel Smart. Gabriel Smart had a fantastic run in the tournament with Pikarom, proving to be a very good player for sure if he hadn't already. But definitely had a really great run. Ended up beating 2 Senna Scorches there, beating ADP, and then ID'd that last round against another Lightning Mewtwo, Triax there, just to to guarantee his entrance into Top Cut. First round of Top Cut, though, played FYB Reynolds there, Jake Reynolds, and got the loss against Blacephalon. So definitely a really great run. Lightning Mewtwo, I think, was a really good call for this tournament. Specifically, it seemed to struggle a bit against Pikarom. I think Gabriel Smart beat a few Pikaroms or Lightning Mewtwo's in his run here in the tournament. But either way, Lightning Mewtwo, definitely a really great deck list, and Adam Calamet got number 7th here in the tournament, guaranteeing some cash prizing. So let's take a look at this deck list. My cat is meowing so loud in the other room. I just need him to be quiet. Okay. All right, Lightning Mewtwo, let's take a look here. So he's got the 3 Dedennes, 2 Boltons, 2 Mewtwo GXs. Some people I think might run 3, but he's got 2 in here. He's got the Crobat, Naganadel, Surfetch V can be really good with the Aurora energies, especially hitting against things like other Pikaroms or Eternatus if you go against them. He's got the 1 Eldegoss, Vileplume GX, Pikarom, Raichu, Tapu Koko, and then he's running a Gengar and Mimikyu GX. So very cool. I think if I'm trying to remember correctly, some people in this deck run Greninja GX, and then some people even run Incineroar GX. Both can be really good inclusions, but this seems to be definitely a really great deck list. Of course, I mean he did well with it. And he's got so look at the supporters. He's got four lineup Marnie and Research with 3 bosses orders, so very standard again, supporter lineup. But between the Dedennes, the Crobat, even Eldegoss with these the 8 draw supporters, definitely a lot of draw support and a fast-paced deck. You can definitely tell. And I like to see it. I think it's a good way to play this deck specifically. He's got 4 Cherish Balls and 4 Quick Balls. Again, makes total sense with all of the Pokemon in this deck that you want to both discard and find pretty much every turn as quickly as possible. We have 4 switches, 2 reset stamps, 2 energy switches. Now, it's interesting that he's running 2 energy switches and not like a tag switch. But that's definitely up to him, up to preference. I think having some sort of way to switch your energies around in this deck is definitely really valuable, especially with things like Tapu Koko, where you only have to put 1 energy, or you can only put 1 energy on, on choosing on 2 of your bench Pokemon. So energy switch definitely makes a whole lot of sense. 2 Air Balloons, Chaotic Swell, and then he's got the 10-4 lineup of Electric Energy and Aurora Energy. This is a list that personally I really enjoy playing. I love Lightning Mewtwo. I think it's a really great deck, and it had really good success in this 383-man tournament. So a list that personally I like a lot, for sure. Awesome. Okay. Not much I'm going to say else about this, but shout out to Adam Calamet for getting number 7th here in our huge tournament. Again, from Canada. Shout out to Canada. Next, we have X Triax, and he is from Argentina. Oh, sorry, not Argentina. He is from the Philippines. Sorry, I got my thing wrong there. My country wrong. Of course, he was also playing Lightning Mewtwo, so let's see how his list differs from Adam Calamet, if it does at all. Again, he did get 10-3-2. I guess his resistance was a bit higher, so he ended up just bubbling above Adam Calamet. Let's take a look at Triax's run. So beat Scorch in day one, ID'd against Pikarom, beat Blounce, beat Colossal, lost ADP, beat Pikarom, beat Eternatus, lost against another Lightning Mewtwo, and then ended up winning against Damien here running this funny control deck, which actually he had a really good run there in day one, almost made day two with that control list. In day two, though, didn't lose a single match, so he beat Luke Metal, beat ADP, Blounce, and then ID'd against Adam Calamet here in his final match of day two, and then ended up losing against Magnechu playing Pikarom. So both Lightning Mewtwo lists seem to fall to Pikarom in top cut. Magnechu, of course, spoilers, was the guy to win the tournament in the end, securing that $200 cash prize pool. Mike, he's an absolutely fantastic player. We saw it in the tournament, but unfortunate to go against him for sure in the first round of top cut. But that's Triax's run. Definitely a really good run. Only lost 3 times throughout the entire 15 games that he played, so very impressive. Let's take a look at his deck list, see if anything is different than Adam's list. Okay, yeah, so we have a little bit of a difference. So he is running the Greninja GX, and he's also running Vikavolt, which is cool to see. Everything else seems to be exactly the same in terms of the Pokemon. I don't think I'm missing anything. So just a few more Pokemon count. He's again running the same supporter count as Adam there. I'm just trying to find some cards that he might be missing in this list. Okay, yeah. So he's got the same 4 Cherish Ball, 4 Switch, 4 Quick Ball, and 2 Reset Stamps. Instead of running the 2 Energy Switches, he is running only 1 Electromagnetic Radar, and he's running 1 less Lightning Energy, which is the reason why he was able to put 2 extra Pokemon in. And then again, 2 Air Balloon, 2 Swell, and then 4 Aurora Energy. So it's very similar, except, just playing, I think, just 1 less energy, 1 less trainer card, and 2 extra Pokemon. So, again, I think both these players had about the same record. They did just about the same. Again, there's plenty of variables involved, but I think that they both of these different variants, deck lists here of Lightning Mewtwo have their own, advantages. I think Vikavolt can be really good in certain matchups. ADP, it can be pretty good for stalling, and then also with Blacephalon, it can be really good as well. And Greninja GX is just a really consistent attacker. It has a really great ability there, so it's of course it's a good inclusion into this deck. I think that Adam probably just didn't find it entirely necessary. Neither of those lists are running in Incineroar, which I still think is a good card to be running in any Mewtwo GX deck. But very similar list. The Electromagnetic Radar on top of the Cherish Balls and Quick Balls is definitely makes this deck a bit more fast-paced when it comes to finding those Dedennes and discarding some energies for Tapu Koko, or even just discarding some of these GX Pokemon to use for their attacks with Mewtwo GX. So, very cool deck list. For sure, I like this one a lot. I might even like it a little bit better than the other one, just because it does have Greninja GX in there, and I like Greninja in this deck. But I also like the energy switches in this deck. So, I think overall, I like them both about the same, but just a little bit different. Big shout out to Triax there, our representative from the Philippines. Had a great run, securing number 6th in the tournament. Moving on, though, we are looking at Vena at number 5 in the tournament. Now, this is our first player to make it above the 5-3-2 threshold from Brazil. He had 34 points, went 11-3-1, and he was playing ADP, and the man above him was also playing ADP here, Ryota Saito, very notorious player. Vena here, though, so let's take a look at his run. Okay, so plenty of wins here. Beat E-Turn, lost to Scorch, beat Lightning Mewtwo, ADP, Blounce, lost to Frostmoth Mewtwo, beat Pikarom, Eternatus, and then another ADP here, so very good day one. Went 7-2, of course guaranteeing his day 2 appearance. If we look at his day 2 run, didn't lose a single game, beat Lightning Mewtwo, ADP, Blounce, and then beat a Pikarom, and then ID'd against Gabriel Smart, so definitely very cool. So I had a really good run, especially in day 2. I ended up going against Ryota Saito there in his first game of top 8. And, ended up sort of just getting the loss here. So we'll take a look, actually, at Ryota's list after this. And we'll take a look at Vena's ADP list here and just sort of see maybe how they might be a little bit different. And sort of maybe get an idea of why Ryota might have had the upper hand here against Vena. Of course, other than just, the player's skill. Maybe we can find something in the deck lists. To see how that matchup might have gone. So let's look at Vena's list. Okay, so this is super standard, but it's just ADP with hammers. It seems like running one extra supporter than some people do, so he's got the 4/4 Boss's Orders Research with 2 Marnies in this list, and he only has 3 Zacian, 2 Crobats, and 2 Dedenes, which is kind of interesting to see with 2 ADPs and an Eldegoss and the Mawile. I'm kind of interested to see how much Mawile is really needed in these matchups these days. I know that it was really important to run an ADP when it was going against things like Eternatus all the time. But with all these decks like Pikarom and Lightning Mewtwo who run a bunch of Dedenes, I bet Mawile is still really useful. So definitely probably makes sense to keep that in your deck these days. We have 4 Metal Saucers, 4 Quick Balls, 4 Switches, Energy Switches, and 4 Switches. And then, of course, 4 Crushing Hammers on top of the 2 Spinners, 2 Cherish Balls, the Great Catcher, Tool Scrapper, 2 Air Balloon, and Chaotic Swell. He's got the A2 lineup of Metal Energy and Water Energy. So, again, just a very standard ADP Zacian list with the hammers. Hammers, of course, are just really good in this format. He actually ended up getting the loss against Ryota, so that kind of makes me think that he didn't get lucky with his hammers, or maybe he wasn't able to draw into them as often as needed. But hammers are actually really good counter against other ADP players. We'll see. Maybe Ryota was also running hammers, and maybe he just got luckier with his hammer throws. Azul GG was casting the top 8. Along with Little Dark Fury on his Twitch channel. They did a phenomenal job. Had over 300 people watching almost the entire time. They had a lot of great synergy. It was a really great stream. I was watching the whole time, but for some reason I think I don't particularly remember the matchups. I was really busy in the background making sure that everything was going smoothly on the tournament end. The matches actually the videos of the matches should be up on the GGtoor YouTube channel soon. So we'll see. We'll see if we're able to watch back those matches and maybe get an idea of how this ADP Ditto match went. But those of you who watched the stream and remember, you probably know. But yeah, so this is Vena's ADP list here. Okay, so Vena was the ADP hammers. So big shout out to Vena, who got 5th in the tournament. Yep, from Brazil. Great run, phenomenal run. Now let's take a look at Ryota Saito from Japan. I went 11-4-1, so got one more, had one more loss, but that's because he made it into top 4, so played another match, but had the same amount of wins because he probably had one less win going into top 8, right? But, our highest placing ADP in the tournament, our only ADP to make it into top 4. Let's take a look at his run. So went on a nice 6-game win streak at the beginning of day 1, beating Blounds, Eternatus, ADP, Etern, Luke Metal, and ADP again. And then lost twice in a row to Pikarom and Blounds, and then probably was very grateful to be able to get an ID here in Game 9 against Marcher playing Pikarom. Going into day 2, went 4-1, so he beat Colossal, beat Decigoons, beat Luke Metal, lost to Adam Calamet's Lightning Mewtwo, and then beat Luke Metal. Luke Metal had a pretty tough go here in this tournament, I think. And then, of course, beat Vena for round 1 of top 8. And then lost to Blounds here, Jake Reynolds, who made it into he made it to the finals, I believe. FYB Reynolds ended up getting the loss against Magnichu. So, very cool. Let's take a look at Ryota's deck list and see maybe how it's a little bit different or how it varies from Vena's list. Okay. So he is running hammers, but it's just a little bit different, actually. So he's got some extra Pokemon in this list. Excuse me. So he's running 3 Zacian, 2 ADP, 2 Dedenne, only 1 Crobat, still 1 Eldegoss, but he's running 1 Hoopa, 1 Amazing Rare Jirachi, Mawile GX, and a Milotic. So a little bit higher coverage here for this ADP list. Kind of gives him, a little bit more of an advantage against things like Control, maybe against things like Centiskorch with that Milotic. So very cool to see. Ryota Saito loves his Hoopa, his evil, what is it called? Admonition? I don't know how to say that, the attack, but that Hoopa specifically, Ryota Saito loves playing, and I'm sure it became in clutch for him. So he's got, again, 4-4-2 lineup for the supporters. He's got 4 Spossers, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Crushing Hammers again. So hammers probably were very important in this best of 3 set in top 8 against Vena. I'm not saying that that's the reason why Ryota won, but I'm sure the hammers had something to do with it. He's got 3 Energy Switch and 3 Switch, so a bit different. a little bit less than Vena's list there. 2 Cherish Balls, and then a Great Catcher, Tool Scrapper, 1 Spinner, 2 Air Balloon, and 1 Chaotic Swell, but he is running 3 Water Energies instead of 2 with the 8 Metal Energies, so a little bit different of a list here. For people who are interested in playing ADP these days, if you're still one of those people, maybe looking for an example going into your next tournament, this could be a really good one. I think that building an ADP list like this was a really good idea for such a big tournament, for a tournament that, had 14 rounds before top 8. So I think that, making sure that you have a lot of coverage against a lot of different matchups in the format was smart for him, and definitely probably helped him a lot in the long run for this big regional tournament. So big shout out to Ryota Saito, man. Our highest placing ADP, got 4th in the tournament from Japan, our fellow Japan representative, so Japanese representative. So big shout out to Ryota Saito. Now we're getting into top 3, and we got 2 Picarums and a Blown in top 3, but they are American, so that's good to note. Shout out to the USA. Anyway, next up at number 3 is Gabriel Smart. So Gabriel Smart, of course, good friend of Chill TCG, good friend of the community, as well as the Hexter TCG community. Just a really great guy in general. Got 3rd in the tournament, 36 points, went 11, 2, and 3, and he was playing Picarum, was very close to getting into the grand finals, but guaranteed that $60 cash prize pool. So big shout out to Gabriel Smart, man. Congratulations. Let's take a look at his run, though. So went 1-1 early in the tournament, beating E-Turn and then losing to another Picarum. Beat ADP, though, beat E-Turn, beat Mewtwo Welder, ID'd against Zach here playing Lightning Mewtwo, beat Picarum, beat Control, and then beat Luke Metal, so went kind of on a tear there after game 2 of day 1. And then didn't drop another game here in day 2, beat, look at this, so he beat Lightning Mewtwo and then beat 2 Picarums, ID'd against Magnechu, who ended up, of course, going all the way, and then ID'd against Vena, so interesting day 2 for him there, playing a Lightning Mewtwo and 3 Picarums, but definitely a really good run here. Only lost 1 game going into top 8, so super cool to see from Gabriel. First round against Vitor Lugon playing ADP, he got the win, then ended up playing our tournament champion Magnechu, Mike here, and got the loss, which was a very close set. No matter which way it was going to happen, we were going to have a Picarum in finals, and then the other match was Blowns versus ADP, so it was either going to be Picarum versus ADP, or it was going to be Picarum versus Blowns. Ended up being Magnechu versus Reynolds, so Picarum versus Blowns in the finals. But that was his run in the tournament. Let's take a look at Gabriel's Picarum list, see how this is any different from Mike's. Okay, so this is sort of a standard newer age Picarum list. I think that this list is a bit more consistent, and it has a little bit less of a favorable matchup spread against all the meta decks in the format. But overall, I find it to be a much more consistently winning deck list than Lightning Mewtwo. He's got the 2 Boltons, 2 Dedenes, 2 Picarum, 2 Mewtwo GXs. So this isn't a Mewtwo Lightning deck. It just has Mewtwo into it, right? And that makes this deck a bit more consistent. Not only does it give you the chance to use both Picarum's attacks and the Raichu's attacks with 1 Pokemon, which is an advantage of itself, but it also gives it 30 extra HP and the ability to hit for psychic damage and not be weak to fighting or colossal. So to have that option is definitely really good. You can of course attack with Picarum or Raichu GX, but you could also attack with Mewtwo GX, which has more HP than either of them. So it's a good inclusion in this deck, and personally, I think that it's a smart thing to do when you're playing Picarum these days. He's also got 1 Crobat, Eldegoss, the Raichu, Tapu Koko, Prism Star, and Vikavolt V. So other than that, everything seems very consistent. Seems pretty standard in terms of Picarum. He's got 3 Marnie, 3 Boss, 3 Research, and he's got that 1 Yell Grunt along with the 4 Crushing Hammers. So Energy Denial, of course, very good. Energy Removal, I should say, is very good in this format. And, this deck has a very, a pretty decent emphasis on that sort of function. So very powerful indeed, for sure. He's got 4 Switches, 4 Quick Balls, 2 Cherish Balls, 2 Stamps, 2 Radars, 2 Energy Switches with 1 Air Balloon, 2 Swells, and then he's got a total of 10 Electric Energies and only 3 Speed Energies, so he's not running the 10-4 lineup. I wonder how that affected his run or his matches in any way. 13 Energy is still plenty to go around in this deck for sure. Okay, so what can I notice here? Again, he's not running Tag Switch, he's just running 2 Energy Switches. Makes sense because there's a lot of Pokemon in this deck like Bolton and Vigavolt, who, of course, are tag team Pokemon. But other than that, if I was going to play Pikarom, it would look exactly like this, I think. I think for everyone watching, if you're interested in playing Pikarom or playing that deck, I think that this is a really good deck list for you to go check out. We'll take a look at Magnechu's list for sure to see how it's different. But for now, this is Gabriel's list. He had a really great run in the tournament, getting third. So big shout out to Gabriel Smart. We're all proud of you, man. Okay. Now on to our top two players. These two players made it into grand finals, and it is FYB Reynolds playing Blacephalon, and of course Magnechu playing Pikarom. So we're going to take a look at the number 2 player in the tournament, getting a $100 cash prize, and it was Jake Reynolds, FYB Reynolds here. Let's take a look at his run. So, again, didn't lose a single game here in day 1. Beat Incineroar, ADP, Incineroar, E-Turn, Inteleon, ADP, Centiskorch, Colossal, Control, Pikarom, and Blounce. So he played 9 different decks in day 1 and didn't lose a single game. That is actually wild. With this current format and with like 70 ADP players, like 40 Pikarom players, he played one of every deck pretty much in the tournament, which is wild. And didn't lose to a single one with Blounce. He actually just ID'd against another Blounce. So absolutely insane. This is super cool to see, actually. Moving on to day 2, he actually had a rough day 2, so he lost 2 games, only won 2, and ID'd 1. But again, his day 1, score definitely carried him in, going 8-0-1. Moving into day 2 definitely helped him out, gave him some leeway, right? So Gabe, his first win of day 2 was against Gabe Shenway playing Welder Mewtwo. Lost to Pikarom, lost to ADP. Beat Sebastian's E-Turn, and then ID'd against Magnechu, which would he would come to face this man later in the tournament for sure. And then in top 8, beat Lightning Mewtwo, beat Adam Calamet, beat Ryota Saito's ADP, and then lost in the finals to Mike there playing Pikarom. So phenomenal run for sure. I'm interested to see his deck list. The only Blounce here, I think, in top 8. So okay. So this is Blounce. So he's got 4 Blacephalon. A lot of people are running 3 these days. It's sort of a debate whether 3 Blacephalon or 4 is better. He's got 4 Jirachis, Cramorant, Crobat, Dedenne, Zacian, Mewtwo, and Oricorio. So busted deck list. It's very consistent, very powerful. If we look at the supporters, he's got 4 Welder and 1 Boss. That's all you need in this deck. He's got 4 Switches, 4 Quick Balls, 4 Crystals. Very important. You definitely want at least 4 Crystals. Some people are even running Energy Retrieval on top of those Crystals. It's a debate whether that's needed in this deck. And then we have 4 Scoop Up Nets to go along probably with those Jirachis, the Mewtwo, just a good inclusion in the single prize archetype. 2 Great Balls on top of Quick Ball. Somebody said in the Twitch chat yesterday that Great Ball is good in Blounce because every card in the deck is gas, and I kind of agree with that. There's hardly ever a time where you wouldn't want any of these cards. So Great Ball makes a lot of sense. No matter what you pull, it's going to be some use to you. So 2 Great Balls. He's got 4 Giant Hearts, again, very necessary in this deck. And he has 19 Fire Energies. Now, listen, this deck is heavily based around having energies in your hand and having the ability to welder 3 onto Blacephalon in 1 turn. So I think that the higher the energy count in this deck, the more consistent it's going to be. And I don't see that he's really missing anything else in this deck list, right? So 19 energies, man, you do you. I mean, you made it to the grand finals of this 400-man tournament, so you know what you're doing, and I think 19 energies is appropriate, which is crazy to say, but yeah, 19 fire energies, man. That's the deck list. Blounce is busted. Big shout out to FYB Reynolds, Jake Reynolds, for making it to grand finals, man. Securing that $100 prize pool from USA. Shout out to USA. Went 12, 3, and 2. And now on to the grand champion here, Magnechu. I'm going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger, sadly. But let's look at his run. So, went on a 7-game win streak here in the tournament. Beat ADP, Centiskorch, Mew, ADP, Centiskorch, Lightning Mewtwo, and then another ADP. Lost to Blounce, and then lost to Gabe Shenway's Welder Mewtwo. So went 7-2 in day 1, and then went 3-0-2 in day 2, beating Centiskorch, Welder Mewtwo, and then ID'd against Gabriel Smart's Pikarom, and then ID'd against FYB Reynolds here in his last match of day 2. In top 8, of course, won all 3 games, won the tournament, was playing Mew 3, Lightning, beat Mew3 Lightning, sorry, beat Pigrom, and then beat Blounds. So had a very fantastic run. I went 13-3, or sorry, went 13-2 and ended up winning the tournament. Now, listen, guys, I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger. We're not going to take a look at this deck list in this video. I will be making a separate video about Mike and his deck list. I'm going to try to get him in for an interview so we can talk about his run in the tournament, talk about his list, his matchups. So we're going to leave it for another video. If you guys are that interested, if you guys are that curious, you can just go up on the tournament page on Limitless and take a look. But I'm not going to go over the deck list just because we'll be doing a separate video on his deck specifically. Just like I typically do with all my weekly tournament winners, we're going to make a separate video on his championship winning deck list. So big shout out to Mike Magnichu. Big shout out to all these players who made top 8. This video was only 30 minutes long, other than being about an hour long, which is always good. Yeah, I want to give a big thanks to everybody who played in the tournament. It was a phenomenal turnout. Everybody had a good things to say about the tournament, which is always nice. We put in a lot of time and a lot of effort to run the tournament. It means a lot to not only everyone over at Chill TCG, but myself and everyone at GGtoor who sponsored the tournament. One thing I do want to note is that we're in the works now of making a second Chill TCG Cup coming on December 26th. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. It will be a regional style event. It will be 2 days. It will be, Saturday, Sunday. Really the same structure, but the one difference is going to be instead of being free entry with a $500 cash prize pool, we've raised the cash prize pool up to $3,000. So our prize pool is 6 times the size than it was this tournament. So it went from 500, now it's going to be 3,000 on December 26th. But instead of being free entry, it is going to be a $10 entry fee. However, if you use the referral codes that will be given out to various content creators and people who are promoting the event, then your entry fee goes down from $10 to $5. So realistically, you should be able to get into this tournament for a $5 entry fee with a $3,000 prize pool. So $5 is $5. It's not a whole lot, but I know some people are going to be hesitant to pay that much money, to get into the tournament. But I want you guys to know that the prize pool is absolutely massive, and that prizing will actually be going to everybody who makes the top 32. So if you make top 32 at this next tournament on the December 26th, you will be winning cash prizing. You will at least get your money back for sure. So you have a much bigger chance of getting your money back and making it worth it than this past tournament where only top 8 got cash prizing. So keep your eye out for that. It should be up. Registration should be open soon, guys. I'm going to wrap it up for this video. So keep your eyes open for the Chill TCG Cup number 2. Keep your eye open for more content. I know I've been gone for about a week now, but we've been really busy organizing this tournament, getting it all settled. But our invitational tournament is on Wednesday for the Chill Series Season 1, and then Chill Series Season 2 is actually coming next Wednesday, so be on the look for that. A lot of things coming in the future. A lot of videos will probably be out this week. But again, big thanks to everybody who helped participate in the tournament, everyone who helped run the tournament, and of course GGtoor for sponsoring the tournament. And of course, big shout out to Azul GG and Little Dark Fury for casting and streaming top 8 for our tournament. They did a fantastic job. So if you guys haven't seen their videos or checked out them on Twitch, go check them out for sure. But that's all I have to say, guys. We'll see you guys in just maybe a day or two for the video covering Magnitude's top championship winning list. But yeah, I got nothing else to say, guys. So I will see you guys soon.